everybody out of here because we got no room.
If that girl is who I think she is.
Could I have your attention, please? Please let me have your attention. We're getting ready to start our meeting, so I request that all of you turn your cell phones off, please.
How did you do that? It's like you have something wrong with your personality. Make your time like that. By the way, I got him on Saturday night and Catherine Charles was watching TV with Jackson.
Hey, Kim, are we ready to go? I want to welcome you all to the July 1, 2019 meeting of the Abingdon County Council. I'm not so sure why we have such a large crowd tonight, but I'm really glad you turned out to participate in your local government. Thank you very much. Kim, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bradley.
Here.
Ms. Quetch.
Here.
Mr. Webb.
Here.
Ms. Patterson.
Here.
Mayor Craig.
Here. Derek Webb is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item on the agenda is public comments. Would you please state your name and address and restrict your comments to 3 minutes. We probably have a lot of speakers tonight, so pay attention to these lights up here, and when the red light comes on, please help me out so I don't have to interrupt you and wrap it up as soon as that red light comes on. Thank you very much.
At this time, we will be calling 3 individuals. If 3 will come to the right side of the stage, 3 individuals on the left side, and we will take turns, okay? This time, if Sherry Taylor, Paul Blaney, I'm so sorry, and Rolf Hillman on this side, please. Joyce Wise Dodd, Richard Macbeth, and Raymond Blevins on this side. You will be given 3 minutes when we start, okay? Ms. Taylor.
My name is Sherry Taylor. I live in Abingdon, 724 Mosby Street, Abingdon, Virginia. You want me to start up? I agree the Palace needs to come on into Abingdon. We need the revenue. We need the so-called friends of Abingdon that are not Abingdons needs to take their suitcases and go back where they come from. Our government is just fine. We are not unsettled. We are very settled, and we need the revenue. And we also have
Excuse me, ma'am. I need to remind you that we need to be courteous to our speakers and allow them to speak. And please do not applaud or make any jeering remarks or anything like that. We want to keep a civil meeting and allow these speakers to speak and advise the town council on what we should do. Thank you. You can proceed.
Ms. Taylor, would you mind starting over so you get your 3 minutes?
Yes, ma'am. I am from Abingdon, and we as citizens need to have PALS come in. We need more revenue in Abingdon. We don't need these people coming in and telling us what to do. They need to take their suitcases and go back where they come from, because we know how to run our government. Our government is just fine. The county and the town knows how to run it. We need to stand firm on that. The council needs to get a backbone and keep this for PALS coming in. Also, exit 14 needs something down there other than car dealerships. And now 19 is definitely a good place to start some more businesses. We need revenue, and we need to be able to understand and hold on to our own identity, not these so-called friends. They're not our friends, they're our enemies, and we can do better.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Joyce Wise Dodd is our first speaker on this side.
Good evening. My name is Joyce Wise Dodd. Can everybody hear me? All right. My issue is the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator. I am seeking appointment as Executive Director of the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator upon expiration of the contract or arrangement the current Executive Director has with the town of Abingdon, Washington County, and/or Virginia State Government. My application is on file with the town. The following questions are asked in good faith in an effort to find information that is written fact. Number 1. Is there a contracted beginning and ending date for the current Executive Director of the incubator? Number 2, since the incubator is set up as a nonprofit, who is allowed to examine the funding and pay structures? Number 3, why are established politicians running for public office allowed to maintain space there? How does their presence at the incubator serve the tax-paying public? Number 4, why are all questions I have been asked been rerouted to Mark Graham? He is listed as president of the board of directors. How is that board appointed, and who decides who will be president of that board? To whom and to what entity or entities does Mr. Graham report? Number 5, how specifically is funding acquired and routed through the incubator? Number 6, who sets the salary of the executive director of the incubator? Is there a paid assistant to the executive director? Number 7, have questions been asked and answered regarding a relative of the executive director occupying space in the incubator? If so, who asked the question? If the question was asked, who answered it, and what was the answer? Number 8, assuming there is a contract arrangement for successful applicants to enjoy the opportunities of incubating a new business that could certainly serve the town and county well, for what amount of time is that contract agreement written? Number 9, the incubator calendar lists 2 activities for June. If activities occurred that were not posted, why then is the website not up to date every day? Number 10, why is it so difficult for an inquiring citizen to get truthful answers about the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator? How much time do I have?
27 seconds.
You can wrap up real quickly, ma'am, if you wish.
This is the beginning of my letter. I won't read all of it. It's a letter to all of you. Attached is my resume and numerous letters of recommendation regarding businesses I've worked with and led throughout my career as a strategic thinker and mission collaborator. My goal is to bring fresh vision to the incubator and a brand identity that will serve as a model for the numerous other business incubators throughout Virginia. I'm a native of Abingdon, grew up on West Main Street, have known most of the wonderful citizens of this small town throughout the years, and hope to become part of that outstanding history. The future of our community lies with both old and new hearts who want Abingdon to be the best place to live in the United States.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Paul Blaney.
Paul Blaney, 195 Stonewall Heights, Abingdon. I'm talking about the PALS issue. I speak this evening in behalf only of myself, and I'm not for or against PALS, just trying to put things in perspective. I'll address two matters. First, the argument that PALS should be welcomed on the grounds that we need to be business friendly. Until 2000, I lived for 23 years in a small city elsewhere. From that experience, I see the matter of attracting new business in a complicated light. That particular city has extremely tight zoning and design regulations, which it enforces aggressively. As a resident, I sometimes found the enforcement infuriating, and no doubt some businesses did too. Still, those very codes contributed to the kind of environment that made the city a business magnet and an economic powerhouse. You may say beggars can't be choosers, to which I would say Abingdon is no beggar. Nobody should get a free pass simply because they are a new business. Enforcing our own rules fairly can have long-term economic payoffs. Second matter is the anger that some people have apparently directed at the Friends of Abingdon. We've already got a hint of that. Though I am not a member of that group, I am on their mailing list and see what they're up to. And I see them as part of the solution, not the problem. So what is our town's most fundamental problem? Well, it may shock some of you to hear that whether or not we have a PALS is not the most serious problem in Abingdon. It's that as a town we are very small, but we have just one very large, very important, very wealthy employer, Food City. It's not Food City's fault that it's the only one, but it is. Agreed, Food City's presence in our town is a blessing, but it's a mixed blessing, and it always will be, given Food City's willingness to throw its weight around. We will always need a group of citizens who serve as watchdogs, people who make sure that the town council and the town's manager's allegiance is entirely to its citizens, and who insist that no retailer, no developer receives insider treatment. Before the autumn of 2015, Abingdon had no active watchdog group. The town leadership got way too cozy with Food City, and as a result, the Meadows is not nearly as well conceived of the development as it could and should be. Friends of Abingdon arose in the wake of the turmoil created by that cozy relationship. If you don't like Friends of Abingdon, don't just snipe at them. Set up your own watchdog group. But just make sure that your group never, ever lets itself become an arm of the Food City conglomerate or any other special interest. If your new group does remain truly independent and critical and skeptical and truly oriented to making sure the town lives up to its own stated goals, you'll probably find that it's mostly doing what Friends of Abingdon is already doing.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Richard Macbeth.
Hello, I'm Rich Macbeth, 1139 Panorama Drive. A couple things. From the Declaration of Restricted Covenants that was put in place on January 20th, if you look at section 9, page 9, section 6.2, minimal design requirements, there is no stated thing about color. All it states in there is about it needs to be followed by materials of natural clay, and public right-of-way should be composed of natural clay, brick, or natural quarry stone product. nothing about painting. It does say one thing about painting. It says painted smooth face concrete block, wood, or architect. There's other materials differing from those as primary or secondary materials may be utilized. So there's none. Now the Planning Commission approved it. And that should be all it is. There's no basis for this suit whatsoever, because they're not in the historical district at all, and I hope and pray they never will be in the historical district. The historic district has a specific thing that they need, and it's in a specific part of this community. We don't need to enlarge it out, put Sheriff District in a place where you're having businesses and everything else of that sort. The other thing I want to bring back up is, I'm still like to, sorry I haven't been here a few times because of doctor appointments and such conflicts with my other volunteer work, but I still like to hear about, and like to readdress, bringing up, moving the voting day from May to November, just like it has been with the surrounding communities. The cost of this town, it costs this town about $2,600 plus. There's no difference by moving this. There's no difference of having this done in the school board. So the idea of saying, well, it's going to be political. It's not, because you're all independents running. And you're no different than the school board. And the school board's done in November. So we want more people coming. The only time there were had times when the number of voting people came out is when Mary Meadows came up. Most of the time you're dealing with maybe less than 500-600 people coming out to vote. And we've got about maybe up to 1,200 people came out to vote with Mary Meadows. There's 8,000 people in Virginia, in Abingdon. Let's just say 50% of those are voting age. That's 4,000 people. So you're saying less than 500 people are going to make the decision on everything that goes on in this town. I think that's wrong, because you never advertise about the vote coming out. It's on Tuesday and work day, and it's not even in their normal voting places. It's downtown. So I hope that you take on that and make that choice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Rolf Hillman.
Good evening. My name is Ralph L. Hillman III. Address is 824 Barclay Drive, Abingdon, zip code 24210. My neighbors asked me to come in support of PALS and against the Friends of Abingdon. If you all decide to vote with Friends of Abingdon and kill PALS, we would ask that you send them a bill for the lost revenues and to apologize to the workers that lost their jobs. We're not communist New York City that killed all those Amazon jobs. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, sir.
Our next speaker is Roman Blevins.
Hello, my name is Roman Blevins. I live at 25123 York Drive here in Abingdon. You know, I've called Abingdon my home for many years, and just reading the headline in the Bristol Herald Courier last week when it stated, "There's no good reason to stop PALS from bringing its signature restaurant design to the Meadows." And while there have been some pretty comical statements about the whole issues on social media, this is in fact a serious matter. You know, our town manager, Jimmy Marani, is quoted in the paper stating that PALS will bring in approximately 60 new jobs and generate nearly $220,000 annually in tax revenue for the town. Yeah, PALS alone would bring $1 million to our town in the next 5 years approximately. And just imagine what Abingdon could do with the $1 million PALS will generate in that time period. We could renovate dilapidated shopping centers and revitalize our downtown. I, along with every other person who calls Abingdon home, want to see our town continue to flourish. This money will help us continue to be a competitive business environment, thus bettering our town for the future. The Planning Commission has already approved of the design, and online petitions numbering over 2,500 people have signed demanding that PALS come to Abingdon. Even those in neighboring communities are excited about the prospect of not having to drive all the way to Bristol for their favorite meal. And Abingdon has always had a great small town USA feel. That environment is what attracts so many visitors here each year. And what is more American than baseball at a new sports complex, hot dogs, and a peachy tea? PALS will be a great asset to our town, both for residents and visitors alike. So let's stand in favor of good food and a great business operating in our town. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Please hold your applause, please.
Our next three speakers, Stephen Spangler, Kathy Lowe, Dyer Moss, please, John Krieger, Sidney Vaught, and Ethan Sproles.
No, there's about 6 under there.
Mr. Spangler.
My name is Stephen Spangler, 38 Compton, Bristol, Tennessee. I'm Vice President of Real Estate for KVAT Food Stores and President of Marathon Realty, which is the master developer of the Meadows project. And I'm here to speak on the declaration of restricted covenants and reciprocal access easement agreement between Marathon Realty and the town of Abingdon, which was signed and recorded in January of 2017. This is not a town ordinance as being argued by the Friends of Abingdon, but is effectively a development agreement between two adjoining property owners, one of which happens to be the town of Abingdon. It can be modified and canceled at any time by agreement between the parties if they feel for the betterment of the overall project. I'm very familiar with the document and its intent as I helped draft it in 2016. The section being debated is 6.2, which covers the underlying or color, but simply to require quality structures via utilization of quality materials. When we met with Mr. Crosby and Powell's to review the opportunity of the Meadows development, these building requirements were discussed from day one, and they understood what would be required to meet this development obligation. They in turn made the decision to construct this proposed Powell's location fully out of brick, which represents a significant cost increase to them versus their typical block building. It is the position of Marathon as drafter and party to the agreement and master developer of the commercial portion of the project that the approved Powell's plans, with brick painted their trademark blue color, meets the requirements of the declaration and should be allowed to move forward as already submitted and approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.
Our next speaker is John Krieger.
My name is John Krieger. I live at 138 Williams Street here in Abingdon. I am a native of Abingdon. I have never lived anywhere else but in the city limits of town limits of Abingdon. And I think that to bring to your attention that the town manager has already made a statement that we will create new jobs, create almost $250,000, $220,000. That's a little short, not much. And over 5 years we'll have $1 million. I'm in favor of PALS, and I think most of the people in there are in favor of PALS. I appreciate what you said, Mr. Bradley, in the paper the other day, that it's not in the historical district. It doesn't even border the historical district. And while I'm on the subject, the Meadows was built, don't know when, but it burned in 1929. The stairwell was always left. Y'all know that? I know that. And the thing about it I'm trying to tell you is this: if that thing's historical, so am I. Because it was not completed back to its original restoration until 1933. That's the year I was born. And let me tell you a little story. The house I was born in, I live as close as I'm standing here to that wall over there. I am truly an Abingdon native, and I am truly your friend. I voted for a lot of you. You better take notice. I can vote against you next time. But I'm a pal of pals, and I hope we welcome pals to Abingdon. And when the thing permit was issued, everybody knew the signature color of pals. What's the big deal? They knew the signature. Why did they question it then? Mr. Bradley says it, and I say it. It's not in the historical district. I don't think it ever will be. If it is, I'm in the historical district on Williams Street. Thank you for your time.
Please hold your applause, please.
Our next speaker is Kathy Lowe.
My name is Kathy Lowe. I live at 525 Whites Mill Road in Abingdon, Virginia. Good evening, Mayor Craig and honorable council. I'm here tonight to speak in support of the Planning Commission's decision to approve PAL's Certificate of Appropriateness. I want to start by saying that I understand the difficulty 5 council members have making decisions for 8,200 citizens, and I know that council usually only hears from folks when they are upset. I had a whole list of facts that I thought were valid reasons for this council to approve the teal-colored PAL's building, but I decided at the last minute to change my comments. During the whole controversy of the last 2 weeks, I've spoken to many people about the facts as I recalled them. About Cook Street not being listed in the overlay, about the joint development agreement being the governing document, about a franchise having the ability to use the brand they paid thousands of dollars for to build. Then I remembered a quote, and I'm going to have to clean it up just a little bit because it came off of a TV show called Justified.
Cleaning it up's not your style, Kathy.
Yeah, I know, it's hard for me, but I'm going to try, Mayor Craig. If you wake up in the morning and you run into a bad guy, he's a bad guy. If you run into bad guys all day long, you're the bad guy. Once that aha moment hit me, I realized that this ongoing issue has drawn us all into being a bad guy at one time or the other. The previous councils did a great job most of the time, but I do believe we could have all done better when the development announcement began. Our intent was to support an economic development project that would create revenue streams for the town, that would keep people off the interstate headed to the Pinnacle or to the Domtar Sports Complex. During our analysis of the project, several financial professionals, including County Treasurer Fred Parker, David Rose, and Jimmy Sanderson, all assured 3 different town councils that the revenue projections were solid, and they have encouraged the Abingdon Town Council to move forward. New revenue streams would keep real estate taxes low and help address challenging road conditions and pay for something that would be beneficial for our youth. I understand probably better than most of the folks here tonight that all government decisions have to go through a process, and that tonight is part of that process. I also believe that the Town Council has the authority to grant special exceptions and variances if necessary. It is time to let go of the frustrations of the past 4 years, use our knowledge of past successes and mistakes, and move forward with plans that will complete the big picture vision for Abingdon citizens, whatever the color. If you will indulge me just a minute, I would like to ask those here in the audience that support the PAL's building and their signature brand teal blue to please stand. I thank you for your time, and I hope that the show of support here tonight will help you bring clarity to your decision.
Thank you, Kathy. You all aren't listening.
Our next speaker is Sidney Vaught.
My name's Sidney Vaught. I live at 853 Panicella Drive. How do you follow that act? Anyway, I have no affiliation with PALS other than occasionally a couple of hot dogs and a big tea. But PALS is not only a great regional chain, it's our regional chain, and it's also, what many people don't know, is highly recognized in chain restaurant sales around the nation as one of the best managed firms in the country. It has excellent reputation for the food, has a reputation for service, reputation for excellent training for its people, and it's a great corporate citizen in its municipality it serves. So I speak in favor of teal. The teal color is their trademark, like the arches and certain other people we won't mention, and they rely on that to attract customers. They should have it. I see no reason that they should have a brick building with crappy little plastic Doric columns on them to try to maintain some semblance of beauty and rustic town quality at Mary's Meadows, because that ship has sailed, folks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Our next speaker is Dyer Moss.
My name is Dyer Moss, 167 Hill Drive, Abingdon, Virginia. On the 21st of June, if you recycled, you received this note from Tri-Cities Waste Management. And it said the 28th, 3 days ago, was the last day that Washington County would be doing any recycling. In my mind, it's a pretty simple binary issue. You're either part of the problem or you're going to be part of the issue and part of the solving this whole issue. Now, I would like to suggest to you that you form a committee, and not just of yourselves, but also citizens from this county that can meet and try to solve this problem so we stop just destroying our own nest. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Our next speaker is Ethan Sproles. Thank you. Our next three speakers, Steve Smith, Mary Haviland, and David Winship.
Three more.
Mr. Smith.
Well, good evening, Mayor Craig, members of the council. It's great to be here. As many as you know, the Meadows project was begun more than 4 years ago. Now, during that 4 years, a great deal has changed here in Abingdon. The town council has completely turned over. The town manager has changed 4 times, and we've had a couple of town attorneys. No offense to any of you, but there have been a couple of constants here in the town. Now, one is our company, Food City, and our commitment to this project. Another constant in this journey has been the Friends of Abingdon and one of their leaders, Joe Levine. They have opposed this project from day one, and they have opposed this at every point during the development. First, it was stated that the retail development was located on the Creeper Trail, which was obviously not true. Then it was an issue with the view shed, and we agreed to create berms and protect the view, complete with landscaping. Then it was Indian graves and pollution from the youth from the interstate, and then slave graves come into play. Many of these points included court challenges. And now we're here today in this room to talk about the color of a building. These folks will tell you that they're not against PALS, but I can tell you that they are, because it's part of the Meadows development and everything it stands for. This group has cost the town hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more. And were it not for their many attempts to attack the project, our youth would already be playing ball, and we would have created hundreds of jobs and millions of tax dollars for both the town and the county. One of the reasons that this group is so against PALS is because PALS is a very popular regional fast food restaurant that alone is projected to cover approximately 1/3 of the bond service for the sports complex. With our flagship Food City store, our retail and other lodging commitments, this development is going to be hugely successful. And that's the last thing that Joe and his friends want. I think one of Mr. Levine's favorite publications, the Bristol Herald Courier, summed it up perfectly last week to the Friends of Abingdon. Your actions are petty obstructionism, and enough is enough. Thank you.
Please. If people get to clap, I would like to respond by saying,
Our next speaker is Mary Haviland.
Good evening. My name is Mary Haviland, 25449 Lee Highway, Abingdon 24211. I live in the county, although I do pay property tax in the town of Abingdon. I hold a PhD in architectural history, and I feel somewhat qualified to comment on Powell's architecture. I think it is entirely cool. I think everyone loves it. It attracts people even if they've never had Frenchy fries. And I do have a slightly different slant on it that might have avoided all of this issue. And I would like to direct my comments not only to the town council, but to Mr. Cosby, the CEO of Powell's. Mr. Cosby, please reconsider your plans and move to exit 19 for the following 3 reasons. Number 1, there's 10 times the volume of traffic at exit 19 than there will be at the Meadows. 10 cars per minute, not counting the I-81 traffic. Number 2, and I know you don't like to hear this, Mr. Cosby, you would not be paying town tax. Number 3, there are currently 4 sites for sale between the Highway 58 turn toward Damascus and the I-81 interchange, one of which is immediately beside the interstate entrance ramps. So, Mr. Cosby, it is not too late. Please reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
If the next 3 speakers will come up, Chris Walters, Becky Caldwell, and Kristen Young. Mr. Winship, you have the floor.
My name is David Winship, 951 Timberland Court here in Abingdon. I think it's very appropriate that we're having this town council meeting in a theater because it is a show with a predetermined script. I remember when the zoning ordinance that was previously developed to try to, as a way of controlling the entrance to the look of the entrance to the town. Now, there's been a reference to a 2-year ago agreement, but some 10 years ago, an ordinance was developed to try to get the entrance to the town more in keeping and in a semblance to the historic nature of the town. But with our current council and the previous council, I see that those approaches to development are no longer in vogue or in force. Mr. Mayor, you have expressed the opinion that the town has been perceived as no longer business friendly. But in my opinion, Abingdon is extremely business friendly. Town council has not only bent over backwards, but is bending over forward to accede to the requests and eventually the demands of the moneyed business interests. Tom Robbins wrote a novel titled Another Roadside Attraction, which had in it a giant hot dog as a visual symbol. And I think that Abingdon now has embraced that as a new direction, to change from a town which has embraced the visual nature of its historic roots to a contemporary interstate exit town complete with big and little boxes, plastic signs, and corporate images. Mr. Mayor, I know that you once had concern about how Cummings Street would handle this new development's traffic. Well, the last time I passed a Powell's at lunchtime in Johnson City, the line extended off the property and into the breakdown lane of the highway. And I think that breakdown is a good description of this show. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Our next speaker is Chris Walters.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you for your time. My name is Chris Walters. I live at 19217 Good Hope Road, pay taxes here willingly in the historic district at the building next door at 143 West Main. My daughter and I started this Facebook group because we frankly had enough. We've just been taking this issue for, as many speakers have said, for over 4 years. And it's enough. We need the project to succeed. Revenue in this part of the country is difficult to come by. The town will face many demographic challenges and economic challenges as our aging population moves on, and we cannot afford to lose chances of revenue of this size or scope, or any jobs for that matter. As a member and a tenant of the historic district. I willingly paid $3,000 in the last month to build a conforming sign for the district, and I don't mind that one bit because that's where I am and where I choose to locate my business. What we're ultimately talking about here is a shopping center next to the interstate and a lovely local business who's willing to locate in our area. So thank you for your time. Appreciate all the turnout from our friends here. And I wish my daughter, who sort of started the group, could be here, but please give her a round of applause. Sorry, Mr. Mayor, but thank you.
Our next speaker is Becky Caldwell.
Hi there, my name is Becky Caldwell. I'm at 413 Bradley Street here in Abingdon. I'm here as a citizen of Abingdon, although many of you may know me as the director of the Virginia Highlands Festival. I'm not from Abingdon, and I have celiac, so I can't even eat Pal's food. Sorry. But my dog in this hunt is about what kind of community we want to live in and economic development. Abingdon has welcomed me and supported my work with the festival, and for that, I am grateful. I want to live in a community of both high-end restaurants, which we have, and affordable fast food, a place of art, culture, and yeah, sports bars. I mean, we live in Abingdon, not Snobbingdon. I think we should make a community, thank you, I'll be here all week. We need to make a community for all of us, and along those lines, if I could just get a show of hands, you know, the town council had a hugely difficult budget decision to make this year in terms of what non-departmental organizations to fund. If I could just, if any of you have a volunteer, have a job at a nonprofit that wasn't, or that got their funding cut, or if you benefit from any organizations that have had their funding cut, would you mind to raise your hands? All right, well, there are fewer of us than I thought, but you know, 6. All right, I'll take those 6 as wins in my column. PALS, the meals tax revenue alone could refund all of us. I think that's something that we need to consider, and I just don't even understand why there's a debate going on. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our last speaker is Kristen Young.
Hi, I'm Kristen Young, and I live at 13093 Holly Lane in Meadowview, Virginia. And I come to Abingdon about every day to do errands. And I have a little dog named Finley. He's a Scottish Terrier. And I'm speaking on behalf of him and his mother, me. We would like the town council to consider putting a dog park in the meadows. There is a dog park that's near the Coombs Recreation Center, but it's kind of not dog friendly because it's on a hill, a high incline, and it is a long way to go to exit 7 to their park where they have a dog park. And they do, at exit 7, that dog park is in a complex where there are sports fields, which is what the plan is, to put the sports fields into the meadows, and that would be a very good location for a dog park. So thank you very much and for listening, and I would just like to add that in addition to considering putting the PALs into the meadows, if you could please consider putting a Chick-fil-A into the meadows. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
That's all. I should tell them how's it like that.
Thank you for all your comments. Our next item on the agenda.
We're not on. Here, this is my.
Did I knock it off?
No.
The next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes, June 3rd, 2019, regular meeting. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
Mayor Craig, if there's no corrections to the minutes, I'd like to make a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion by Ms. Patterson to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Webb. Kim, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
Mayor Craig?
Aye. The next item on the agenda is a resolution of the Council for the Town of Abingdon honoring and recognizing Wayne Miller for his dedication to the Virginia Creeper Trail. Jane Deering and Lisa Quigley will read the resolution.
Good evening. It's nice of everybody to turn out for Wayne's retirement. A resolution of the Council for the Town of Abingdon, Virginia, to recognize and commemorate Wayne Miller for serving as president of the Virginia Creeper Trail Club/Conservancy for 10 years. Whereas Wayne Miller retired to Abingdon in 2006, and for Christmas that same year, his daughter presented him with a membership to the Virginia Creeper Trail Club. By the following year, Wayne became very involved, sharing his passion for trail and with others. Whereas, in 2009, Wayne was elected president of the Virginia Creeper Trail Club, a volunteer organization dedicated to the maintenance and preservation of a 34-mile creeper trail corridor in southwest Virginia. And whereas Wayne led by example, every day worked tirelessly, not only as president of the club, but as a volunteer on the Creeper Trail. With more than 100 individual trail projects to his credit, including installation of interpretive signs, memorial benches and picnic shelters, station painting, trail cleanups, trestle maintenance, washing toilets, cleaning birdhouses, and over 1,000 volunteer hours dedicated just on the trail. And whereas Wayne's example of volunteerism inspired hundreds of club members, exponentially increasing the impact that the community of trail users has on the continued success of the Creeper Trail. And whereas in Wayne's characteristic, low-key way, his talent for encouraging ideas and ultimately consensus among divergent groups has benefited all of us that appreciate the significant role the Creeper Trail plays as one of our most important economic drivers in Southwest Virginia. Leading a nonprofit is a challenging task that requires more than just acumen, but diplomacy as well. Tasked frequently with balancing not only the needs and concerns of the club membership and the general public, but also property owners, federal agencies, and town governments. Wayne listened closely and spoke thoughtfully and with intention, ensuring that all stakeholders participated equally in decisions, and as a true steward of the trail, always returning to the decision that was best for the Creeper Trail. And whereas in 2009 and 2010, Wayne garnered support and successfully spearheaded funding through a grant from the Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation for about $75,000 to resurface several miles of the Creeper Trail. This work also included installation of safety signs and other trail rehab work. This significant accomplishment was completed with the help of dozens of volunteers that Wayne recruited, organized, and managed. Not only did Wayne's efforts and personal contributions to this project illustrate a classic example of the benefit of public-private partnerships, it demonstrated to all the difference a small group can make for the common good. And whereas during his tenure as president, Wayne's accomplishments have been many. In 2014, the Virginia Creeper Trail was recognized nationally by the Rails to Trails Conservancy and inducted into the Rails to Trails Hall of Fame. This meritorious distinction is direct evidence of the significant impact Wayne's leadership has made. And whereas one of Wayne's last accomplishments of his leadership was transitioning from the Virginia Creeper Trail Club to the Virginia Creeper Trail Conservancy, a move that will better define the Creeper Trail Conservancy's public role as trail advocates chief promoters and patrons of the trail, as well as significantly broaden the Virginia Creeper Trail Conservancy's fundraising profile and ability. And whereas, for the foregoing reasons, as well as those that are still yet to be realized, the Council of the Town of Abingdon, Virginia hereby commends and extends gratitude, recognition, and accolades to Wayne Miller for his role in the Virginia Creeper Trail Club and his commitment to serve the community and a true Creeper Trail ambassador. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Abingdon, on behalf of the citizens and entire region, observe and celebrate Wayne Miller's dedication to the Virginia Creeper Trail Club. Thank you.
Council, what's your pleasure on the resolution?
Mayor, I move to approve.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you, Jane and Lisa, for those kind words, and thank you to the council. The town of Abingdon has been a key team player in everything that goes on the trail, and the club has worked very closely with the town, and you've been very supportive, especially Jane and the tourism staff and Kevin Worley and the Parks and Recreation staff. We couldn't do anything without this kind of teamwork, so thank you all.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Ms. Patterson to approve the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bradley. Any discussion? Kim, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
And Mayor Craig?
Aye. The next item on the agenda is consideration of appeal of the certificate of appropriateness approved by the Planning Commission on May 20th, 2019 for Tom Cosby, Crowbar LLC regarding Powell Sudden Service Facility filed on behalf of the Friends of Abingdon Incorporated. Campbell, would you speak to this, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As background, the Planning Commission granted a certificate of appropriateness to Crowbar LLC on May 20th, 2019. On June 19th, 2019, the last day to file an appeal, Friends of Abingdon Incorporated filed an appeal of that decision. Under Abingdon Zoning Ordinance Section 18-9-9, appeals may be taken from any action or decision of the Zoning Administrator and Planning Commission granting or refusing to grant a certificate of appropriateness pursuant to the provisions of this article. Appeals shall be taken to Town Council within 30 days of the action taken by Planning Commission. As a procedural matter, Town Council, as we've discussed before, sits as an appellate body on this appeal. The party challenging the decision has the burden of proving that the decision of the Planning Commission was clearly unreasonable, arbitrary, or capricious, and that it bears no reasonable or substantial relation to the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare. As we've discussed before, Council is not making this decision by itself, as we would say legally de novo, but only reviewing the decision of the Planning Commission for whether it was arbitrary or capricious. You want to open it up for comments now?
I want you to mention
as I understand it, we're going to give the opportunity for Friends of Abingdon Incorporated to make a statement. If they are here, we've been advised by email that they did not plan to attend.
Is there anyone from the Friends of Abingdon here that wishes to present the appeal or speak to the appeal? Okay. I'll recognize Mr. Cosby, if he is here to speak for Powell Sudden Service Incorporated.
Well, thank you.
and for listening to everybody's voice and give me this opportunity to speak. I mean, we've been overwhelmed with the amount of support that everybody's showing us here. Abingdon is a place that we want to be, yeah, but we have to do things that make business sense. We did do one PALS that's not a teal color. That's the exception. That's proven our stance that we can't ever do that again. We have a real accurate sales model. It came in as a real strong performing store. The sales still aren't 34 months later where the model projected us at. 34 months later, every week we take multiple complaints on the color of the building. It's not a real PALS. It doesn't look like a real PALS. My kids don't like it. I don't like it. And so we have to do what makes business sense for us. We've looked at all 3 Abingdon exits. 14, there's no convenient land that makes sense. There is property out on 58 where Tim Carter and some other people are developing some land, but it's out of the feeding zone. The model projects for low sales. We've looked at 19. 19 actually makes financial sense in sales that would match 17, but the property prices for the lots we want are unreasonably high, so in our business model, it's not an option. So the one and sole option that we have is exit 17, and we want to do it in a way that produces business success for us. You know, it has to make sense. And our color, our design, to make sure that it says PALS, that it attracts the customers, and that we keep our customer base happy is what we need to do, and what we're asking that the certificate of appropriateness be allowed to stand as is. We had a long discussion, almost 30-minute discussion the night of that appeal. I explained this position to them at that time. Felt like we did everything that we could to be aligned and appropriate with how we approached it, how we presented everything, giving everybody the opportunity for their voice to be heard and our voice to be heard and our stance. And so in a 4-to-1 decision was given the certificate of appropriateness. And so we do feel like that needs to stand. That's what we're asking, is that you deny their appeal so that we can move forward with the project. If there's any questions or anything, I'd be happy to answer them for you if I didn't address something that was on your mind.
Council, any questions? Apparently there are no questions.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone from the Planning Commission present to speak? Does anyone from the Planning Commission wish to speak? Mr. Anderson. You wish to speak, Mr. Anderson? No? Okay. He doesn't wish to speak. First time I've ever heard him not speak.
So I believe it's proper now for council to deliberate. I'll give council some additional information to consider. An idea behind an appeal is that a party, as I mentioned before under the zoning ordinance, a right is given to the party applying for the certificate of appropriateness, or also gives an appeal right to, quote, a party aggrieved. Friends of Abingdon Incorporated did not appear in person today, apparently, to provide any basis for its standing to raise this appeal. The appeal documents did not supply any basis for how the FOA was aggrieved by this decision in my review. Public comments attributed to FOA state that FOA's basis for appeal is fundamentally to ensure that the town's rules are followed. In the zoning context, courts have analyzed this issue before and have addressed this type of appeal and found that this basis does not apply for standing. The petitioner must show that he has an immediate pecuniary and substantial interest in the litigation and not a remote or indirect interest. It is not sufficient that the sole interest of the petitioner is to advance some perceived public right or to address some anticipated public inquiry when the only wrong he has suffered is in common with other persons similarly situated. The word aggrieved in the statute contemplates a substantial grievance and means a denial of some personal or property right, legal or equitable, or imposition of a burden or obligation upon the petitioner different from that suffered by the public generally. So seeking to enforce the rules by itself does not appear to be a personal or property right, but rather at most a perceived public right. As a result, it does not appear that the FOA have standing to support the appeal. The town manager received a document today from the Friends of Abingdon purporting to be an amended appeal. There does not appear to be an attempt to file the amended appeal. It was handed out in a discussion meeting with town representatives, and as part of that discussion, and no attempt was made, as I'm aware, to file it, but merely a discussion about whether it was proper or not, and the remedy was proper or not. But in any event, it appears that the purported amended appeal dated July 1st, 2019 is untimely pursuant to Abingdon Zoning Ordinance Section 18-9-9. That must be filed within 30 days of the decision of the Planning Commission. We're well beyond that date as of today. Further, the stated remedy of the purported amended appeal asks for relief which appears to be beyond the denial of the Planning Commission's decision, and relief that is not included in Section 18-9-9. Thus, the remedy sought by this purported amended appeal doesn't appear to be a proper exercise of Town Council authority sitting as an appellate body for the Council's consideration. I'd also note, and Council can state this themselves, but Council has reviewed the opinion, the decision of the Planning Commission, the packet that was presented at the Planning Commission meeting, the video of the meeting itself, and other materials. And individual council members may want to expound on that, but I want that to be in the record that those materials were also considered. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Council, what's your pleasure on the matter?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to point out that the Planning Commission did deliberate on this for quite a while, and that we realized at the time that the town zoning ordinance in this regard is improperly constituted. There were no guidelines from which for us to make a reasonable decision other than to approve Powell's application. And at the same meeting, we already began the revisions that are underway now to affect future developments of this nature, and as I said, that's underway now.
Thank you, Mr. Bradley. Council, what's your pleasure on the matter?
I'd make a motion to move that the Town Council finds that the Friends of Abingdon lack standing to make this appeal because the Friends of Abingdon is not a party aggrieved by the May 20th, 2019 Planning Commission approval of the Certificate of Appropriateness. But notwithstanding the Friends of Abingdon's lack of standing and without waiving that basis, that the Town Council affirm the May 20th, 2019 Planning Commission approval of the Certificate of Appropriateness on the basis that the Planning Commission approval was not arbitrary or capricious, but was made after a substantive discussion of the Historic District's Entrance Corridor Overlay District Ordinance, otherwise known as the Overlay District, a September 11th, 2015 special use permit which refers to the Overlay District Ordinance, and declaration of restrictive covenants and reciprocal access easement agreement, also known as the restrictive covenants, and further that the Planning Commission decision was not arbitrary or capricious as applied to sections 18-9-8C1 regarding coordination of the buildings in the development, section C6 regarding trademark designs, the special use permit which refers to the overlay district or the restrictive covenants. And the Town Council deny the purported amended appeal dated July 1st, 2019 as untimely pursuant to Abingdon Zoning Ordinance Section 18-9-9 that must be filed with the town manager within 30 days of the decision of the Planning Commission, and also that the remedy sought by this purported amended appeal is not a proper exercise of Town Council authority sitting as an appellate body.
Motion by Mr. Webb.
I'll second that.
Second by Ms. Quench. Council, is there any discussion on this matter?
Mayor Craig, I would like to say something. I want to thank you all, first of all, for coming out tonight. We appreciate you all exercising your rights for your speech. But I do want to let you know that there was some issues back in the past with some businesses that I thought was not friendly and not fair. And I don't know how much that I can go into this, but I'm sure that whatever we can share with you. But that being said, we've already recommended as a town council to the Planning Commission that some of these ordinances be changed so that it is fair for all businesses to participate in building their buildings in the same way that they need to participate. So that will be fair to every business that comes into Abingdon, Virginia. And I am for that, and I think you all would want it to be fair as well, fair for everybody.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Patterson. Anyone else wish to speak? I want to speak in favor of Derek's motion, probably not because of a lot of reasons you brought up, but our role is not to mess with the Planning Commission's business. Our role is to exercise oversight. I viewed the action by the town council, by the town planning commission, and I found that they discussed this matter very thoroughly. They deliberated. They took everything very seriously. They acted in a professional manner. I also support this because it is beneficial to the town, and I don't think that it violates any ordinances. I've reviewed our ordinances. I've reviewed the Friends of Abingdon's petition, and I find no evidence whatsoever that the Planning Commission acted in an arbitrary and capricious manner, and I want to thank our Planning Commission for the fine job that they're doing. Any further discussion? Kim, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bradley?
I'm going to abstain because I voted on this matter already in favor of PALS.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
And Mayor Craig?
Aye. The motion passes to support the Planning Commission. The next item on the agenda is considerations of bids, which we have none. Next item is report from the town manager. What? Oh, I'm sorry. I get mixed up all the time.
You don't want to hear from
I missed an item on the agenda. We have a public hearing regarding an application for special use permit pursuant to section 17-3 of the Town of Abingdon zoning ordinance, proposed construction of automobile repair, reconditioning and body shop, currently zoned M1 industrial business located at 550 Lowry Drive, tax map number 018-20-2. Yeah, I know. Jason, we'll wait just a minute until people clear out.
Maybe we should take a break.
I don't think they're good at the gallery, so that's a probably good saying.
Did that suit you when I said, I mean, was it all right?
Oh, sure.
I didn't think it was damaged.
No, that's fine, Susan. I think it's good that they know that we're trying to fix that.
That's what I thought. I would like to ask the lady about the dog park, whether she wants a dog park for the little dogs or the big dogs.
I'll get back with you.
Yep. She's still here?
She's right here.
I'll send you an email. I got your info. Yeah, thanks for coming.
Hey, would you come this way, please? Would you come up here? Right over here?
Yeah.
Yeah. She wants to ask you a question.
I was going to ask you, do you have a little dog or a big dog? Are you wanting little dog park or big dog for big dog parks? So little, do you have any? Oh, yeah, you can show me a picture. I like it.
She's like, I got a picture.
He's a Scottish.
She came on behalf of
A Scottish Terrier.
She got a Chick-fil-A. I think we do a Chick-fil-A.
Do you have any problems with a mixture park, like big and little dogs together?
That's an interesting question. I don't know. I found out when I sat down there. I want to tell you something. The funniest thing I saw there's this guy.
What's wrong?
Watch a meeting with you guys. And I was asking people all over town, and I was talking to Ben Jennings, you know Ben Jennings. I said, and Ben said, well, they didn't follow the rules. And I said, what? He said, did you read Stephen Jett's letter to Barter? I said, yeah, I read his letter. And I saw how he crafted this. He's very that. I said, he used a couple little phrases. I said, I'm a writer. I know how these people do. And I said, when I read their argument, and they didn't even have your name in there, they didn't have Jenny's name in there. And I thought, well, they turned this into a script. Right. The biggest thing.
Oh, he's adorable. Oh, look at her dog. That's a cute little dog.
Saying that you did it with no.
I can see. We saw.
And when I watched the video, I said,
Those links are still.
talked about it. And I wanted to get Ramsey White saying, well, I feel like throwing the baby out with the bathwater into the swimming pool. Now the other dude never called me back.
How
The lawyer.
sweet.
Any reason why you wouldn't call me?
It's dirty.
Is it very popular? Well, I know he died. Okay, so I was like, I don't know what attorney you're talking about.
It's a Finley, and his nickname's Ben.
Yes.
He's cute. He really
Yeah,
is.
he is. I love it. I love him. Yeah, he's adorable.
Yeah, he's precious.
Great dog.
And of course, anybody that brings their dog to the dog park would be there as well. That's an opportunity for them to take advantage of, to shop while they're there.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing for everybody.
What is he trying to say, Sam?
Thank you all so much.
I can't hear him.
She's okay.
I don't know.
I can't hear you, Rick.
Do what? I can't hear what he's saying.
Is who still on the planning commission? We're going to decide that tonight. What did this?
I can't hear what he's saying.
That's your own position close.
He's going to have to come up here.
That's the only position that's open right now, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I can do that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Mr. Boswell is going to speak to this matter.
Thank you, Mayor Craig, Honorable Council. This public hearing is for consideration for a special use permit pursuant to Article 17, Section 17.3 of the Town of Abingdon zoning ordinance and Article 13, Section 13-2-9 of the M1 Limited Industrial District. The applicant, Edward J. Cozart, is requesting to construct a 4,800 square foot, 3-bay auto repair shop for a small local trucking company to be located at 550 Lowry Drive. All the repair work will be conducted within the proposed structure. The company intends to house up to 10 tractor trailers at any given time on the approximately 1 to 1.25 acre lot. The site plan complies with all the requirements of the Section 17.3 and 13.8 general requirements of the town zoning ordinance. The Planning Commission voted unanimously to approve the special use permit at the May 20th regular meeting, and it was discussed at the June 20th council work session. Planning Department and the Planning Commission are submitting a recommendation to the Town Council for approval of the special permit.
Any questions of Mr. Boswell? Thank you, Jason.
Yes, sir.
I now declare the public hearing open. If you desire to speak to the matter, please come to the podium and to the microphone and state your name and address. Anyone want to speak? Okay, hearing none, I declare the public hearing closed. Council, what's your pleasure on the matter?
Mr. Mayor, I believe we follow the recommendation of the Planning Commission.
Motion by Mr. Bradley to follow the recommendation of the Planning Commission. Is there a second?
So I second that, Mayor.
Second by Vice Mayor Patterson. Is there any discussion on the matter?
I had all my questions answered at the Planning Commission meeting I attended.
Okay, Kim, call roll, please.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch? Aye. Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
Mayor Craig?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're down to what I called for before, a presentation by Virginia chapter of Over Mountain Victory Trail Association. That representative, I've been informed, will not be here, so we'll, if it's okay with the council, we'll put this off to another time. Next item is consideration of work session dates for August through December. Wow. Okay. Kim, let's get to work. Everybody got their calendars out?
Yep.
Okay, we always start with Mr. Webb. Let's look at an August date. What dates do you have for the week 11th through the 17th, Derek?
Let's see here. That week I am off on the 15th.
Okay, is the 15th okay with everybody?
Well, that is the Bristol Motor Speedway race. If everybody has any problems with that, just so I'll let you know. I believe that's the start date.
The 15th is Thursday.
Is that okay?
I have an appointment in Boone at 1 o'clock that afternoon. Can we make it late?
Can you make it late?
Okay with that. Sure.
What time do you think you'll be back, Al?
Probably 5.
5?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to set it for 5, Al?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Donna, you okay?
I'm fine.
Cindy? I'm okay with it. 5 o'clock work session on the 15th. Okay. We'll move to September.
Mayor Craig?
Yes.
Monday, September the 2nd is Labor Day. We are usually closed. Can we check about rescheduling the regular meeting on September? Just so on my notes.
Okay. The regular meeting, yeah, that's okay. Derek, what days do you have that week? Or day? First through the, second, the third through the 7th. Do you have any dates?
Let's see here.
This is our regular meeting.
This is a regular meeting.
This would be regular.
We usually try to do it on Tuesday.
I think Tuesday the 3rd would work. Yeah.
All right, okay. So we'll do it Tuesday the 3rd, if that's all right with everybody.
It's fine.
Yeah, okay. Regular meeting.
6:30.
Regular meeting is all right, 6:30. Okay, now Derek, we'll look at the 15th through the 21st for a work session.
What about the 19th?
19th, is 19th okay with everybody?
Let me check that. I was fixing the 19th of, I'm sorry, oh yeah, for September.
Actually, I'm wrong. What about the 18th?
18th, he's changed his mind.
I think, well, I mean, I can make it work either way.
You're really upsetting me. Well, how about the 18th, guys?
Yeah, that's fine. 2:30?
Sure.
2:30.
I'm sorry, which date was that?
18th.
18th at 2:30.
Okay, we'll go to October. I just noticed something, Kim. Our regular meeting would be, no, it's not VML, no, it's, okay, that doesn't interfere with VML. All right, we'll do the work session. Derek, what dates do you have, 13th through the 19th?
Let's see here. Looks like the 17th is my day off that week.
17th is when you're okay?
Let me double check here. I'm sorry, the 16th. 16th is my day off that week.
How about the 15th for the work session in October?
The 15th or the 16th?
15th, is what he said.
I could do either 15th or 16th.
Oh, okay, he can do either.
Yeah.
The 15th or 16th, I can't hear you.
Yeah, 15th or 16th, either one would work that week.
Which one?
You guys pick it.
Anybody have any
16th?
problems?
16th? 2:30?
Wait a minute, what, the 15th or the 16th?
Either one.
16th.
Want to do the 16th? 2:30?
16th is okay.
16th.
All right, I'm hearing you say the 16th at 2:30.
Yes.
Okay.
Wednesday the 16th.
Could we please go back to the regular meeting in October? I've got a question about that. It looks like that we have a VML, that we're already signed up to go to VML during that week
On the
of
7th.
7th.
Yeah, that is a conflict. I was thinking that it wasn't, okay.
Could we have it on the 1st, on Tuesday? Derek, do you have anything on that?
I think that would be fine with me.
Can everybody make that?
I mean, another option would be
Tuesday,
to do
which,
it.
the first?
There's 5 Mondays in September.
Yeah, the
We could do it
first
on
or the
September 30th, but it would put it 4 weeks away from September 3rd. September 3rd.
We're still in October, aren't we?
Yeah, I know if we were looking at scheduling the regular.
Well, I'd prefer we do it on Tuesday myself, the 1st of October.
I think that'd be good.
Oh, I see. You're saying the 1st of October. Okay, that makes sense.
Is that all right? It's okay with me.
Is that okay, Al?
Yes, not for me. Al, is that
Yeah.
okay with you?
The 1st of October?
Yes.
At 2:30.
That's a regular meeting, 6:30. Okay, October is done. November, looks like the regular meeting's okay. Derek, what dates do you have, the 10th through the 16th?
Looks like I'm off the 12th and the 13th. So
You want to do it the 12th?
that will be okay with me.
Al?
Sure.
That's fine with me.
2:30?
Sure.
Okay, December, looks like the regular meeting's okay. What dates do you have, 15th through the 21st?
The 19th, it looks like, is my day off that week.
How does the 19th work for you guys?
It's fine.
Al, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay, 2:30 on the 19th. Okay, Kim, is that all we needed to do?
Yes, sir.
What is he?
August the 15th, 2019 at 5 o'clock p.m. The regular meeting in September will be moved to the 3rd at 6:30 p.m. The work session on September the 18th at 2:30 p.m. Work session October the 16th at 2:30 p.m. The regular meeting will be moved to October the 1st at 6:30. Our next work session will be November the 12th at 2:30 p.m. and then December the 19th at 2:30 p.m. Oh, the regular session.
Regular session is always the first Monday, so she didn't say a date that was outside of that. for that month, and it's always the first Monday, but since Labor Day was the second, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that completes that item. The next item is old business of matter not on the agenda. Is there any matters not on the agenda the council wishes to discuss? Okay, moving along, we have council member reports. Start with Al. Al, do you want to make a report?
No, sir, I don't really have anything to bring up. I've been to a lot of planning commission meetings and everything else in the world. I think we've discussed that already.
Donna, you want to make a report?
No, sir.
Cindy?
I just want to say that I've been to a lot of my meetings and ribbon cuttings, and the governor was in, and there was a celebration of folks that worked, employees that worked in the state of Virginia 40, 45 years and 50 years, and that was just awesome to be involved in that. Can you imagine working 40, 45, 50 years for the state of Virginia? That was pretty awesome. And then all my council meetings.
Vice Mayor Patterson covers a lot of ribbon cuttings because I'm too old to get up that early or whatever. Thank you for that, Senator. Derek, you want to make a report?
I'm good. Busy as always.
You just don't have a report. You don't do anything. Okay, we need to go into closed session.
Mayor, can I just say something real quick before we go into closed session?
Sure.
I just wanted to thank the staff for everything they did to get this meeting relocated over to the Barter. There was a lot of things that happened behind the scenes, so, and of course, thanks to the Barter for accommodating us, but just wanted to say that, so.
Thank you. I agree. They did a great job. Okay, we need a motion to go into closed session. Oh, wake up, Al.
Wait a minute. As permitted by Virginia Code Section 2.2-371, 1A7, consultation with legal counsel or a briefing by staff or consultants about the pending case of Berry versus Town of Abingdon and others, and also as permitted by Virginia Code 2.2-3711A1 for the purpose of considering applications for position on the Planning Commission, Sinking Spring Cemetery Commission, and the Tree Commission. I would move that the Town of Abingdon convene in a closed session for the above purposes.
Motion by Mr. Bradley to go into closed session. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Ms. Quetch. Is there any discussion? Kim, call a roll, please.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
And Mayor Craig?
Aye. Cindy, I didn't hear what he said.
Thank you.
What did he say?
This man here,
That guy over there.
he said it's been real.
We're ready. Derek.
Is there a motion to go like that? So moved. Motion by Ms. Patterson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bradley. Any discussion? Kim, call roll, please.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
And Mayor Craig.
Aye. Okay, do the certification thing, Kim. All right, was that in his motion?
He needs to read it. Alan,
Do you have the certification in?
turn on the mics.
I move that the town council certify that in the closed session just concluded, nothing was discussed except the matter or matters specifically identified in the motion to convene in closed session and to lawfully permitted to be discussed under the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act cited in that motion.
Mr. Bradley, do you so certify?
I so certify.
Ms. Quetch?
I so certify.
Mr. Webb?
I so certify.
Ms. Patterson?
I so certify.
And Mayor Craig.
I so certify. Okay, the item, next item is appointments to boards and committees. Planning Commission,
Yes.
what's your pleasure, council?
Mayor Craig and council, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Mr. Kirk Sprouls to fill the expired term of H. Ramsey White Jr.
Is there a motion by Ms. Patterson, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Ms. Quetch to appoint Kirk Sproles to the Planning Commission. Any discussion? Kim, call roll, please.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
Mayor Craig.
Aye. The next item is the Tree Commission, reappointment of Cindy Patterson.
I move we reappoint Cindy Patterson to the Tree Commission.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Bradley to reappoint Cindy Patterson to the Tree Commission, second by Mr. Webb. Any discussion?
I'd like to say that it would be with great pleasure that I serve on the Tree Commission again. Thank you so much.
Well, I think you do a good job, so
Thank you.
let's call a roll, please, Kim.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
Mayor Craig.
Aye. We need a motion in relationship to the Berry versus Town of Abingdon matter.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we authorize the town to enter into the settlement of the matter of Berry versus Town of Abingdon and others, and to pay $12,155.28 from any appropriate funds, and authorize the town attorney to draft the appropriate documents and the town manager to sign those documents.
Motion by Mr. Bradley to settle the matter. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Webb. Any discussion? Kim, call roll, please.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
Mayor Craig.
Aye. Okay, the next item is always my favorite, adjournment. So I declare this meeting adjourned.